hated that.
I didn't like it either. I don't know how it's been number one since it came out, and I thought it was terrible.
I don't know how it's number one. Because let's do like an intro though first before we start talking about it. You're good at that.
Am I? Because once again, the only thing I have to say is I didn't like it. So yeah, Nightstalker on Netflix. It's been number one for like at least a month, if not longer. I thought it was boring as hell. And I had to rewind it a bunch of times because I wasn't paying attention. And then there was a point in the middle of it where I got an email from Chewy.com telling me that my cat's prescription food is going to be out of stock for an indeterminate amount of time and to like prepare myself. So I immediately started like searching all of the websites to try and find the stupid prescription food. And by the time I found it and ordered it, I went, oh, I've missed like 20 minutes of this episode. Should I rewind it? And I went, no, I just don't have it in me. No.
I went through all the shit that was in our pantry and everything, or like the big tall cabinet in the kitchen. I was going through that while I was watching it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, I at least want to be productive while I'm watching this shit. I hated the Nightstalker. And what really pissed me off is that they're like, well, we did things differently with this documentary. Instead of focusing on the criminal, we focused on all these other people. I'm like, I ain't fucking watching this for the detective. This isn't a show about the detective. I don't give a fuck what his life is about. If I
was wondering
about his life, I'll watch a show about him. Like, this was about the Nightstalker. I wanted to know more about him.
That was what I was wondering, because I did not feel the connection to him, and I never have. He's never been one of those serial killers that I'm like, ooh, the Nightstalker, I really care. And I think it's because there's no pattern. It's all random. So like, yes, it's terrifying. It's very scary that like, you know, men, women, kids, and then some of them he kills and some of them he doesn't.
Raping them and the elderly people, and it's like, you're not just like a normal sociopath, like you're like a next level sociopath. Like,
yeah,
this is really bad.
Yeah, so he just like he had no pattern. He didn't even kill everybody. So there's witnesses all over the place, you know. And I just like and the whole time I'm wondering, I'm like, why are they not talking about his childhood? All murder documentaries.
No, about him. What led up to that? Like, why is he such a psycho? Like, who hurt him? That's what I wanted to know. And instead, we're talking about Mr. Detective and him being in the military and then coming home and wanting to be the first person to go to college. And I don't give a fuck.
No.
An asshole thing of me to say, but if it was a documentary about him, that would be totally different. I'd be like, yes, please tell me more. Tell me more about your life. But it wasn't. I wasn't watching Netflix special whatever on Detective so-and-so. Like, that's not what I was watching. I was watching Nightstalker, not these other fucking people that I don't give a fuck about. I don't give a fuck about the Nightstalker either, but I'm expecting to learn about the Nightstalker, not some stupid detective.
You're going in and out with your mic. I know, it's got to be right there.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, it was very frustrating.
Yeah. The first thing that upset me in there, because I have the list, that woman in the thrift store who she's like, oh, I go to the thrift store on my lunch and I noticed him looking at this cap. And then when I was on the highway later, I noticed it was the same exact guy. And then she noticed him again. And I'm like, I don't think it's realistic. Like, creepy guy, sure. But if you're like driving and, you know, casually gazing, because you don't stare at creepy looking people. You see a creepy person, you go, don't make eye contact, move away, and you leave. And then on the highway, you especially don't make eye contact because those people will murder you.
Keep paying no attention to nobody else.
Yeah. So I thought it was crazy that she's like, it was the same guy. And it's like, okay, he got caught like a year after that. And you saw him on the news and you were like, I remember him. And yes, he's got a distinct look. But also,
that was just someone wanting to be famous.
Yeah, I thought so too. Yeah. I thought that was crazy. I was like, come on. Like, you can do better than that.
And then all these people leaving their windows and doors unlocked. And like that one girl is like, I was telling my parents they need to be sure to lock their. Well, now I don't want to have to live in a place where I have to lock my door. Like, if I lived in the nicest, most low crime place in the entire world, I'm still going to lock my door. Not because I'm afraid of
Well,
breaking in, but because I don't want somebody just to walk into my house with me not knowing that they're walking in.
you have to remember though, this is the 70s, I want to say, or the 80s, and that was so common, and that's why so many people got killed by serial killers. That's why, like, that was like the heyday for serial killers. It's because nobody locked their
Lock
door, and they
your
were like,
door.
we live in a good neighborhood, nobody will ever kill us. And it's like,
That
well,
doesn't mean you
you,
don't lock your door. Like, it would be different if it takes an hour in order to get the door locked, but it's like, chick, done.
yeah,
One
yeah,
second.
it
One
made
second.
no sense.
That's
Yeah, it was like, yeah, I will never understand why people do not lock their doors. I am so paranoid of it where I know I lock my door, and I will get up in the middle of the night after I'm comfortable just to double check it to make sure it's still locked. Now, like the windows, I kind of get, and I do get a little bit nervous because, like, right now I'm on the fourth floor. Nobody's coming in my windows, but I am a person who likes to sleep with the windows open. So at that point, it's like, okay, so I'm gonna need to get one of those bars that go in the window so that nobody can like push it open the rest of the way, and I'm gonna have to like take extra precautions. But like to leave a closed window just like fully unlocked, and like those people were like, oh yeah, I don't, I leave every window in my house unlocked and also all the doors. And, you know, I also leave a basket of cookies out on my doorstep in case somebody wants to come by.
They're all stupid.
Yeah. So I have that.
Even the ones that have kids, like, lock your
Yeah.
damn doors.
Yeah. And like he took a girl right back out the window. Like that little 6-year old. Jesus Christ. My cats are terrible. There's a ghost in my house. They're just like both jumping straight up in the air, and I don't know what's happening.
They're
But
so
they've done it like a few times. So somebody breaking in or something. I don't know. And then, you know who else I didn't like? Do you remember the guy who they thought it was him and they were like, oh, this guy's being creepy. He's literally going around stalking women, and we found like panties that are all cut up in his house. And then they're like, oh, nobody picked him off out of the lineup. Go ahead on your way, Mary Stranger. Like, we're not going to put you on a watch list or anything. I'm like, he was literally stalking women, which is why you stopped him. And then you found out all of these other creepy things. And then you went, well, he's not the one that we're looking for. So better just
not.
let him go. And I'm like,
Like,
we,
he's still a creep. We have
yeah,
one creep in the universe here.
yeah.
Like,
You're like, listen,
he's not
maybe
this
just,
one doesn't mean he's not doing something weird.
yeah. So you're like, maybe just like put a tab on him real quick and just
Yeah.
like
So Mr.
flag
Detective
it for later.
all about is clearly a shitty detective.
Yeah. Well, and nobody shared information either, which is something that I've always hated up until they had the
Well, it's
like the
because
serial killer.
they were suspecting that it could be a possible police officer type situation.
Was it? Because
Yeah,
I know
like the
sharing
way
between
things were
districts.
done, they were thinking it was.
Oh,
Well,
okay, because that is a common problem though. Because a lot of other cases they were saying they're like it, and they did say it in this one too. They were like it was a pride thing where they're like, no, I'm not sharing my cases with you so you can take the glory for it. And it's like, I think it could be related. Nah, fuck you, it's mine. And you're like, okay,
you just try to get the person before they kill someone else. I just
yeah. But they had that, and it's like
get your
he
own
was
family.
killing all over, and you had a bunch of people who were like killing all over. And if up until they had that database, I mean, you could literally just travel as a trucker, as most of them did, just killing all across the United States because none of the states talk to each other, let alone the jurisdictions inside the states.
Yeah.
But now you can be like, I have potentially this dude who we think is this, and this is him, his MO, and they're like, okay, these 5 people matches any of these people. And that's incredible because this guy would have been caught in a minute,
Yeah, like
especially with his,
checks and all that shit should all be in one central database.
it is now
Like, I feel like for like the whole world, like it should just be.
for the world. Yeah. But yeah, currently,
They already can check and be like, hey,
yeah. but they have it.
You got the World Wide Web, people. Like, it's difficult to share information
The
globally.
fact that they had to hand check all of the fingerprints, where they were like, we can't check his fingerprints until we have a suspect, and then even then, it's just some girl with a magnifying glass like trying to match up points. And he would have been caught in a fucking second in today's world because of that shoe. He was wearing a gym shoe that only 5 of them were sent to the Los Angeles area. And only one of them was a white shoe, which is what they knew it was. So it's like you have a guy who is wearing the only shoe.
Of that shoe.
Yeah. And he would have been caught in a second. They're like, we just didn't have a record of where that shoe was. So we knew it was this.
Got it. We got off topic.
Yep. All right. So the other annoying thing, that fucking cop who got the shoe size wrong because he was like, oh, well, I didn't have a tape measure, so I just put my shoe over it, and my shoe was too big, so his shoe must have been smaller. And I was like, really? That's what we're going with. I'm just gonna put my shoe over this footprint and just wildly estimate like
Yeah.
what sizes.
That whole situation was like so incompetent.
Yeah. I was like, oh good, glad we're really getting with science. Like we're not sharing info with other police
And then
officers.
Netflix is like, let's have this documentary about all these incompetent people instead of.
I mean, honestly, I do like that it was about all the incompetent people because it really does show just how far we've come, but also we still have some of those issues. So it's like, you know,
I hated everything about that. I didn't like any part of that documentary, and I was cursing myself for suggesting it.
yeah.
I was like, why in the hell did I suggest this shit?
Yep. That's why you can't always pick what's popular.
Right? Because the people are dumb.
Yeah, I think it was
Pretty
popular purely because he was like a famous serial killer, but there's
Yeah.
nothing fun or exciting or unique about him. He's just a fucking psychopath. And
Yeah.
like that one where they said this actually did make me laugh. When he got pulled over in the stolen car and the cop went to go and like run his info and he ran, but he stopped to draw a pentagram on the hood of the car before he ran. I was like, that's some dedication.
Yeah.
Like, who does that? Who's like, oh shit, this cop's gonna bust me, and I'm also a murderer. Better draw a pentagram real quick. Like,
Yeah.
that's not my first my first go-to.
So this happened in the 70s and 80s. So what did that have to do with the Elisa Lam case being the same time? Do you remember?
Was that this?
Well, remember
I
when we
thought
were
that was a
watching
different.
the
No,
Elisa
but I thought that was a
Lam?
different killer.
It said Nightstalker.
Did it?
They're like, well, it didn't get as much, you know,
Hang on. Let me double check.
coverage by the detectives because of the Nightstalker thing going on. And if that was in whenever that was decades later.
Yeah.
Unless maybe he was released from jail or something. I can't imagine
Well,
he
I
would
mean,
ever be released.
he did die.
But I mean,
20.
why would that take away the resources of the? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let me. I'm thinking it was somebody else, but I don't remember who it was. And naturally, Google's like, you just want a bunch of things on Elisa Lam. Like, I do, but also I need this case. I mean, it says that Richard Ramirez stayed at the Cecil Hotel while he was active. But yeah, that's weird.
In the Cecil Hotel thing, it said that
Yeah, it did, and I'm pretty sure
no,
the
it was just
interview.
that one detective and the few other people that helped him because of the Night Stalker.
Yeah. But yeah, it says that he was arrested in 1985 and Elisa Lam was definitely in like 2008. So
Yeah,
I don't know what happened there, but yeah, there was something and I do remember that.
maybe there was a different night something.
That's possible. Well, they gave him like six different names before Nightstalker stuck. So maybe there was something similar and we just weren't paying attention.
It was Night
But
Walker.
yeah.
Night Walker, Midnight Ranger.
So he had that. There was that the mayor of the city was just spouting off her mouth about like everything related to the case. We're like, he's
Yeah.
wearing this shoe, he's going here, he's doing this. If you
Okay.
see
Well, then
him,
he's like, all right, well, I'm going to change that shit. I'm going to put on a different pair of shoes. I'm going to.
yeah, that was my immediate thing. I'm like, well, I mean, God, like that's why. And I'm sure that somebody told her too, like, this is the information that we're not releasing. And like, this is for you because you're the mayor and you need to know, but please don't tell the general
Like
public this
telling
because
Trump something. It's just
you're,
can't keep a
yeah,
secret.
yeah, like he's monitoring these because I think he changed some of his actions
Yeah.
after she
Yeah,
said
they
that.
said it that hindered it. That
Yeah,
and the fact that detectives sucked didn't help either. But the people on the
yeah,
case
they
were
were,
terrible.
yeah,
Like the whole thing was terrible. I would blame at least the last half of all of the people that were victimized by him. Blame it on them. It's half their
yeah,
fault for being inadequate.
yeah. Then something like the last episode did get kind of interesting because they were talking about the trial. And so they're talking about the trial and like how he was so popular and he had so many fans and he had groupies. And I was like, I am floored by that. And I know that people are like obsessed with serial
Yeah,
killers.
but not ones that rape children.
And you know, I don't think they really
Are.
I don't think a lot of people knew about that because they did drop those charges. So it's possible
Why?
that people just like they didn't because they had him on all of the murder charges. They were like, he's going to jail forever. We don't need to put the children through the trauma of reliving it and of testifying because we have him on all of the murder charges. So, like on the one hand, it was nice that all of these children didn't have to testify, but on the other hand, it's possible that they didn't have closure because he wasn't committed, but he was going away forever with the life sentence. But
Was
yeah,
he
he was
still
saying like
alive?
no, he died of natural causes. Well, they said cancer. So he got cancer 20 years. He was on death row. So he was put onto death row and somehow not executed for 20 fucking years and was able to just like die of cancer in prison. And that's the other thing is I hate that. Like if you're on death row,
It's like that.
yeah, yeah, like I fully believe that in a lot of cases if you're on death row, like I can see why they would wait, but a case like this where you're like, no, he absolutely did it, there's no one is contesting this, there's no doubt in anyone's mind that he did this. Why would you just leave him alive?
Right.
And he didn't disclose all of the people he killed. We don't know how many people he killed, and that's something that I hate. And I've seen them with a couple other serial killers. I think there was one who would tell a detective one of the like missing victims every year that that detective like visited, and I don't know if it's true or not. I know they had a mind hunter. I don't know if it's fact, but I wouldn't put it past somebody that they're like every year you visit me I'll give you one name and location, and that guy died in prison. So like however many people he killed, like he didn't leave a list of like, hey, I just died in prison, here's all the rest of them.
He didn't
Like
have like a best
they've
friend
always
in
been
prison that he
disclosure.
told.
Hmm?
He didn't have like a best friend in prison that he told all that to.
No. But yeah, so like there was a ton of people that just don't get closure and that aren't found. And I think they linked somebody to him like years later after he died and everything too. So nice.
I used your method you told me.
Did it work?
Yeah, until a second coat when I globbed it.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a thicker nail polish, so it was like I couldn't get it thin. I needed to add like some clear to it or something and
Yeah.
thin it out.
But yeah, so he had all these fans. He got like fan mail, and I don't think people on death row should get fan mail. I don't see the need for
Well,
it.
it
Like,
gives them entertainment. That gives them a feeling of connection to someone.
and you have all these women that are literally sending him like
I do
pamphlets,
not understand that.
you know? Like,
Like, well, all these men that are scumbags outside of prison, they're just not scummy enough for me. I've got to find one that's even worse.
well, there are a lot of women that like do like that, like danger and like the prison pen pals and stuff like that. But yeah, specifically murderers. Like people are really like, I want this murderer to like see my boobs. And I just don't understand the fascination with like murder. You're like, he murdered so many people in cold blood in so many different ways. And he fucking raped children and apologized for none of it. And then he was like, Hail Satan, all this. He made Satanists look bad. Satanists are actually very good
Yeah.
people. And he,
Satanists, like, they've, it's like anything you do, you are 100% responsible for your own actions.
yeah,
And you will be held accountable for them, so it's like you don't harm others. You
yeah,
live and let live, and you mind your own damn business, and like, that's not at all.
yeah,
Like these bad people make Satanists seem so terrible when
we do.
they're
Yeah.
really not.
No, and I read an article that like the Church of Satan, like they are one of like the most charitable organizations
Yeah,
out there. And they're constantly like
they're way
making good
better than
things
the
in the
Christian
community.
organizations, as insane as that sounds. If you,
Yeah,
but yeah, they are. They do a lot of good shit.
yeah.
A
But
lot of good
yeah,
shit. I'm very classy with how I talk.
but yeah, him sitting there like, "Hail Satan, I'm good with Satan." And then there was that one woman who was the victim, and she's like, "I was sitting in the courtroom, and next to me, I thought I was with normal people, and all of a sudden, I look over, and this guy's got a pentagram on him, and he's like, 'Hail Satan,' and I know he supports this guy. I'm sitting next to a person that supports this guy. I was like, God, I know we're all for like letting people see courtroom cases and letting people just like live their
If
lives
I
and
was a
be
victim and
equal.
I was next to someone like that, like, what if she had PTSD and shit?
Yeah.
Which she probably did.
But just knowing that there's somebody out there that like
If it's a
sees
case
what
like
you're
that with
putting
all
out.
those victims, it should not be open to the public. Too.
Yeah. And it was such a publicity thing. Like you had so many people that were like clamoring to get in there. So it's like if you have people that are like dying to get in there because it's a big case and they want to be a part of it, that should be a closed courtroom. That
Yeah.
should not be something that people can go to as like a sporting event of sorts. And you just have these people that are
Well,
like,
and why wouldn't they just air it on television and just let people watch it?
it was the 80s. I don't think they did that.
Do they do that now?
No.
I didn't think so. That was like no recording whatsoever.
Yeah. Like you have to like give up your phone when you go into the courthouse. But yeah, like they'll release transcripts, I believe, but transcripts and like drawings and um, I think now you are able to have your phone in there maybe because I do recall in the Free Britney documentary during her trial, there was a person in there, like they picked one member
Yeah, they
of the
were.
group to go in there and they like relayed info to the other people.
Yeah.
So
Can you hear me okay? Is my mic doing fine now?
yeah,
Okay. But so yeah, that was the Nightstalker documentary on Netflix. Don't watch it. It's shit and it's boring and it's. I think that's why I was so tired and
too
took a
long.
nap today. It's because I
It's
watched that.
four episodes, 50 minutes each.
It.
None of them
If they would have
particularly
cut all the
exciting.
bullshit out, they could have easily made it into a 30-minute thing
Yeah. Yeah, they gave almost no information
or
about it.
one episode.
Yeah, they gave no information. You didn't feel a personal connection to
None of
any
it.
of the people and all of the
Other than the
information
detective,
too.
know everything about him.
Yeah, like they didn't even talk about each of the individual cases. It was just like a blank gloss over of like he went in, he murdered these people, then he left. And you're like, okay, well, I guess we'll just do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolute waste of time. Terrible choice, Lindsay.
0 stars. Would not recommend.
Yeah, hopefully it's off the number one spot soon because yeah, I'm genuinely not sure how it got to
I
be there.
don't
I
know.
wish it was better, but
It's
also
the number one spot and it stays there because people keep having to start it over because they
that's
have no
probably
idea what
it.
the fuck's going on.
But yeah, I never cared for him. I didn't know much about the case, so I was kind of interested. I was like, okay, well, this is somebody I don't know about. But it's just I care even less about him now than I do.